How's everybody today? This is Dan with Dan's 30-foot dory build. Sorry about the lighting. It's a little dark in this corner here, but I'm trying to stay out of the sun. We've gone from very cold to maybe a little bit too warm that quick. Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get down to business. I got a rub rail I installed on the boat the other day with screws because I wasn't too sure how well this 2x4 was going to bend around the curvature of the boat to get the rub rail in place. I guess you could say I was successful in applying the rub rail onto the boat with the screws. As I said, I'll be coming back over it with some carriage bolts later. Probably brass. I don't need all that many to keep the rub rail in place. So today is Wednesday, the 3rd of May, and we have an early warming. I don't know if we'll get any real cold weather again, but I have to work as if we are, because I'm out in the open here, right? As you very well know from my previous videos. I'm wearing my little floppy hat here to try to keep the sun off me. The top of my head is getting a little warm and I don't want to start peeling, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, what I'm going to do here is video tape. You can tell I'm old school. I videotape. It's not tape. I know. God, do I jabber a lot. Anyway, I'm going to take a video of my rub rail installation. Now, if you saw my last video, I had it partially screwed in except for the front. The next piece I was going to put in, I was going to knock a 45-degree angle in it, screw it down, and then insert the next piece of rub rail into that 45 with another 45, of course, and then lay it out. Well, the front went good. So the first 16 feet was tough, especially at the back here. Most of the curve is right in the back here, about 6 feet of it, I guess. But it kind of went around. The line I scratched onto the boat, I folded it really good. So I got a sliver in my hand already, sorry. So it went around pretty good. But I have experiencing one spot right here, and you'll probably see it when I show you. There's a clamp holding it down, and I put a bunch of screws in it. There was a large knot there. And I should have probably flipped this piece of wood around the other way and just looked for those large knots closer to the edge. So when I was doing the video yesterday, you may have heard the other day, you may have heard a pop. I looked over my shoulder and I thought something fell out of the tree or something. It wasn't. The 2x4 snapped right where the large knot is. But it's still really darn close. I have it clamped down. I got its screws put in there. It should be okay. I am not removing it. Okay. Now, what I've done, I had one of my viewers, Mark, and he said, I'm not too sure what you're doing there because I screwed the 2x4 right on to the rub rail right onto the boat. I didn't sand the primer off, and I didn't epoxy it down. My plan here to continue this little escapade, what I did this morning is I sanded the primer off and cleaned it to get the dust out of it about 3 inches up the boat. I'll show you that in a second. And then I'm going to use, we got high winds. You know, they're schoolyards behind my house there, and they got the sprinklers out and on today. And I'm going to say they're about 75 yards away, and I got mist blowing this way. The wind's blowing the mist off those sprinklers, and I could feel the mist just a bit here and there. It's incredible, the wind. We also have 4 fire warnings. They've evacuated a few towns north of where I am, and hopefully they're going to make out okay. Unfortunately, I know what it is to have a house fire. It's no fun. So what I'm going to do is I sanded this down right to the 2x4 as deep as I can get it. I'm going to go first with a filler. I'm going to do epoxy and do my special flour thickening mixture, and I'm going to stuff it in the crease between the boat and the rub rail, just to fill in any voids. And I know I have a few, you know, where you use the wood or the edges are sort of rough. I got a little bit of that going on here. But I'm going to go from the bow to stern, and I'm going to just put a filler coat in there until I get to the end here. And then what I'm going to do right after I've applied that, I will start mixing 2-part epoxy resin. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to put this in there. Now this is a 6-ounce, 3-inch wide strip. I used it to thicken all the edges of the boat when I was doing the fiberglassing. I got a lot of it left over. So I'm just going to lay that onto the top surface of the rub rail and then run it up onto the boat. So it's going to probably be 1.5 inches on the rub rail, and it's going to balance of it probably roughly 1.5 inches. It's going to go up onto the fiberglass of the boat, and I'm going to immediately start fiberglass that in and working it in with a brush. So you know, we got a kind of little V going right along there just to fill it in and to basically fiberglass the pine rub rail to the boat. Now after that's done, it'll be finished. I will clean it up. It'll look okay. I'll do an exterior sanding on the rub rail. And then I'm going to get those brass carriage bolts, the rounded head type. So I'm going to countersink a hole to let the head drop in. Or I might just be rude and leave the head exposed just for something to look at. We'll see what happens. And I'll fasten that every 3 feet with carriage bolts. I'm also going to fill all the holes I made with the screws today after I've done the rub rail, blending it into the boat. So I'm going to be doing this in several takes because, you know, I don't edit my stuff because I really don't have the capacity. I went out last week to check out a unit. It's probably around $2,000 to get a half-decent machine. And what they were telling me is that you need enough room to hold the information you're downloading. You need enough space in there to work the... what's that? We had planes going over, sorry. To work everything, you need a certain amount of room. You need a machine that's relatively quick. And they're all starting at around $1,700 and up, depending on how much money you want to spend there. So I kind of talked him into buying a lesser machine, and he just looked at me and said, "It ain't gonna work. It won't work." He said, "You need this minimum to do what you want to do, and I know what you want to do." He says, "Don't cheap out. You can't do it. I'll sell you one if you want, but you're not going to be able to use it for what you want to use it for." So as little stubborn as I was and a little upset about that, I had to let it go. So that's why I do everything in rough takes. For those of you that are new to my channel and wonder why I'm not editing anything, that's why. So I'm going to get up right now. I'm going to show you what I've done so far. And then that will be the take. This will be take number 1, sorry. Slivers can be so nasty. I'm taking my time. I'm going to make sure that I do this application well. I'm not going to rush it. It's early May. I've got good weather today. I don't want to get the water to get in between the boat and the rub rail and cause moisture down there. So that's why I'm out here today doing this, to seal up that crack, that seam between the rub rail and the boat. So I'm going to pick you up right now, so you're going to get bounced around a little. And I'm going to take you out towards the bow. No, she's out. Nice thing about a pipe is you can put it down and then you can pick it up again. So let's go over here. Oh, she's sunny and hot. It's nice, I'm not complaining. Okay, so I'm going to take you down there. I'm going to walk along the boat. I'm hoping I'm getting all this in there. I actually can't really see what I'm looking at. We're getting high. We're getting to the center of the boat here. It's getting higher. You see the way I've just grounded all that paint off there, the primer I should say. There's that joint I made. Yeah, no, I didn't epoxy the joint. I think I mentioned I was going to. Okay, so you see all that's all sanded back. There's a little space coming up. You see there's a knot, there's a crack there. You really got to watch your knots, or they'll drive you nuts. Here's that crevice I have here, that's what I want to fill. And here's the biggie here. See, that looks pretty nasty, doesn't it? So I put extra screws in it. I'm not going to remove that until the epoxy's cured on the top, on the bottom side. Okay. So hopefully I got a good shot of that going down the rail. Now, I'll bring you over here and share this with you too. Might as well. So these are going to be short takes, guys. Hopefully less than 15 minutes long. Now here's, let's see if I can get that in here properly. There's my epoxy, there's my mixing bucket, and there's my special additive, my thickener. Yeah, that's right, it's flour. Let me get you around here. You see how fast the picture goes black? Okay, so I do have a mask there. I'll have gloves on while I do this procedure. I really made a mess of it last time. I got in there sanding, there's dust everywhere, wasn't wearing a mask. No goggles, no hat, no nothing, no gloves. And that was not the way to really present it on YouTube. I'm not going to apologize for it. I came home from work, and lately motivation has been really an issue with me. I just don't have no motivation. Oops, sorry, that was my thumb. I just have no motivation. And I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm a year older or just the way it is sometimes. So anyway, I came home. I jumped on it, got the equipment out in a hurry, and yeah, that's what I was doing, sanding the bottom of the boat. And I was sitting there on my last video. Not a very prime example of safety, so I'm just going to point out the fact that I do know that, I do understand that, and I'm certainly not suggesting you go out and do it yourself. So I got 12 minutes on the clock here. Do a quick, let's see one here. Okay, so the rail is installed. So I'm gonna let you go. I've got 118 subscribers. I don't know if I mentioned that last time. I think it was 17. I had picked up one more person, so I have 118. I would like to thank that person for joining me on this little voyage I'm having here. I hope I can keep you entertained, and thank you very much for joining the group. As always, I really appreciate everything you guys are out there. I get good comments from everybody, and I also get suggestions, and I do really try to take bits of those suggestions and apply it to what I'm doing. I don't ignore them, and so far so good. All right, guys, so this is going to be take number 1 on installing the rub rail, and I'll be leaving you now so I can get my epoxy going. I won't be videotaping that because I have nowhere to mount this crazy iPad. My phone just does. My replacement phone is only a 65 gig machine, and it doesn't do video because I still have operating systems and crap on it, right, and pictures. So I'm using my iPad. So bear with me once again, please. Yeah. So this is take 1 of I don't know how many. But I would like to take certain takes and get you involved and see what I'm doing along the way. And I'll make mini videos, let's call them that, okay? So thank you very much, everybody. Stay tuned, stay in touch, and I hope I can be as entertaining as possible. And remember, I'm still here. I haven't given up, and I'm going to finish this thing.